Good evening, everybody. It's 8 o'clock, and it's time for another story. My name is Rob Martin, and I'm the mayor for the city of Colwood. And the book that I have chosen to share with you this evening is A Pattern for Pepper, and this is written by Julie Kraulis. And the reason I'm reading this book to you today is because this is a book that we actually own in our family. And believe it or not, our kids are actually quite old, so they're in their 20s. So you may be asking yourself, why are we owning this book? Well, this was actually a Christmas present that I bought for my wife, Sheila. And Sheila actually works in the school system and works at the libraries. And this was one of her favorite books. And so I thought this was a great opportunity to share this with you today. The reason this is one of her favorite books is because Sheila loves to sew. And she loves to build things. And this book is about that. So that's what we're going to do tonight. So I hope you have a fun time listening to this story. So again, this is called A Pattern for Pepper. Pepper needs a dress for a very special occasion. Only the most perfect dress will do. So she and her mother have come to Mr. Taylor's shop to have one made just for her. It's Pepper's first time at Mr. Taylor's, her family's favorite tailor shop, and the oldest and busiest in town. A bell tinkles as Pepper and her mother step into the warm and cozy store. "Hello, I'm Pepper, and I need a dress for a very special occasion," she said. "Well, I'm pleased to meet you, Pepper," said Mr. Taylor. "You've come to the right place." "First things first, let's take some measurements," Mr. Taylor said. Pepper stands on the stool while Mr. Taylor starts measuring. "Next, we'll need to choose the fabric for your dress. Fabrics are textiles, and textiles come in all sorts of patterns," he said. "Let me show you what we've got." "Patterns are everywhere," said Mr. Taylor. "See the floor? That's a herringbone pattern, inspired by the skeleton of herringfish. We could use a herringbone fabric for your dress. What do you think?" Fish are nice, but it's too cold and underwater for me, so no thank you," said Pepper. "Well, how about seersuckers, like your mom's dress? It's perfect for the warm summer weather," Mr. Taylor said, opening up the window. The word seersucker comes from the Persian shir o shakar, I hope I said that right, which means milk and sugar, because of its smooth and bumpy textiles. "I like my tea strong without milk and sugar, so no thank you," said Pepper. What pattern is your suit?" Pepper asked. "Ah, this is a tartan. It comes from Scotland and is woven with wool in checkered patterns. Tartan is used for clothing, hats, and even bagpipes." "Oh no! Bagpipes are just too loud!" "No, thank you," said Pepper. I'm not sure if her voice would have sounded like that, but I thought I'd throw that in. "The rug you're lying on is a houndstooth pattern," said Mr. Taylor. "It has small, four-pointed checks that make shapes like hounds' teeth. My grandfather wore this fabric while hunting in the Scottish lowlands. Would houndstooth work for you?" "Well, I do like dogs, but special occasions require more color, I think." "No, thank you," said Pepper. "Who is this?" asked Pepper. "We'll meet ICAT," said Mr. Taylor. "He's named after a fabric with a fancy hand-dyeing process. ICAT means to bind, to knot, to wind around in the Malaysian Indonesian language. That sounds complicated. Yesterday, my hair was so knotty, it took 4 hours to sort it out. No, thank you, said Pepper. What patterns are my socks? Pepper asked, with her feet in the air. Your sock pattern goes back to the 17th century or earlier in the western Scottish Highlands. Argyle is designed of overlapping diamonds and diagonal lines and is often used for golf clothes. I do like to play golf, but I think I want my dress pattern to be prettier than that. No, thank you, said Pepper. See that man walking outside? Said Mr. Taylor. His suit is a pinstripe pattern. Some baseball teams use pinstripes too, like the White Sox. How about, do you like pinstripes for your dress? He looks kind of glum. I need something extra fun for my special day. No, thank you, said Pepper. Take a look at this photo of your grandma, Mr. Taylor said. She's married a fellow from Switzerland, and I made her wedding dress from a textile created there called Dotted Swiss. It's a delicate, lightweight fabric with a small dotted pattern woven on top. Ooh, pretty, but too plain for me. No, thank you, said Pepper. Well, the chair you've been sitting on is made from a toya, a fabric from France with, and now I don't speak French very well, so I probably pronounced that wrong, but from France with hand-drawn scenes of the French countryside, said Mr. Taylor. This countryside looks too busy. No, thank you, said Pepper. Mr. Taylor, what if I don't like any of these patterns? Not to worry, Pepper, Mr. Taylor said. Your perfect pattern is in here somewhere, so let's see. Your pattern has to be pretty and strong. It has to be warm and fun. Not too plain, but not too complicated either. Colorful, but not too busy. He stops and thinks. Aha! I have just the thing. He pulled out a bolt of fabric from the shelf. Pepper's eyes lit up. That's it, she said. That's the one. Any guess what that one might be? See, I get the peek. Pepper and Mr. Taylor get to work sketching designs for the dress. When they're finished their design, Mr. Taylor draws on it on a huge roll of paper. He cuts out the pieces and pins them to the fabric. Then he cuts out the pieces of fabric, pins them together, and begins to sew. He works all afternoon. And you can sort of see he has to do all that, and then he goes around here, and then he's working all day. When it's time for a fitting, Pepper stands patiently as Mr. Taylor makes a few last alterations. The dress is finally ready. Your perfect pattern is paisley, Mr. Taylor said. A very old pattern inspired by pine cones, the shoots of a date palm, and the pods of cashew fruits. Paisley was created in Kashmir, India, where it was used for hand-woven shawls, and later it became popular in the town of Paisley, Scotland, where the pattern got its name. Pepper hugs Mr. Taylor. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. It is perfect. I can't wait to wear it. She looks beautiful in it. Pepper puts on her new dress for her special day. She arrives at her grandma's house for an afternoon of tea and croquet in the garden. Happy birthday, Grandma! I love your hair-born dress, she said. Pepper and her grandma sip tea, eat scones, and whack balls through hoops under the summer sun, each in her own perfect pattern. The end. That, my friends, was again a pattern for Pepper. I hope you enjoyed the book tonight. I hope you guys are able to get some sleep. and we'll see you next time. Good night.